the stock market, meaning companies, new highs.
I'm not fucking leaving. The show goes on. Nuts! They're nuts! They know nothing!
An online network called Internet.
Well, it's very hip to be on the internet right now.
Welcome, my degenerates, to Market Mania, the no bullshit approach to all financial markets, including cryptocurrencies, NFTs, darknets, and of course, the largest casino in the world, the U.S. stock market. Joining me today are nobody. I couldn't get anybody to join me today. Matt Glantz is traveling today, and Brett Ritchie is out there making money moves in Vegas. I'm actually going to see him this weekend. I can't wait. I've never met him in person, so we're going to have a good time. Brian Micon is, I believe, attempting to lick his own elbow, and if you ever tried that, you know time waits for no man. So I didn't want to leave you hanging on a crazy market day. This is going to be a super quick wrap up for Market Mania, but wanted to put something out there just so you have an idea what's going on our end. First thing I want to talk about, of course, we've had a pretty crazy day in markets. If you can look at the top right over there, the Dow started out like plus 2% today, and then tanked pretty hard on a presser from Jerome Powell. So we will take a look at that here in just a moment. But first, this chart is pretty impressive. I mean, just the way it goes up and down. I mean, this is the 5-day. This is the S&P 500, but it's looking like a crypto chart to me. We've had some massive swings in the market over the last couple days, driven almost entirely by narratives and not at all by anything resembling fundamentals. So the first thing I really wanted to touch on today, in the midst of all this craziness, is why we talk about the things we do up in the Mania Watch. So up there in the top right corner of your screen, we've got a few items listed. We've got the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ. Now, we follow those, obviously, because they're such a close indicator of the major market indices. So at a glance, we can see how things are doing, and those tend to correlate pretty strongly. It's pretty rare that one will be up really high and others won't, and the only time I typically see that is when the NASDAQ is kind of ripping on some tech news and the others are lagging on that. Just beneath that, we have, of course, the VIX. The VIX is the volatility index. Now, I really like this one because it tells you how many people are trading in and out of a day.
Come on.
Let's talk about
VIX.
I love the VIX. I love trading the VIX. I love watching it. It is a roller coaster. And when we started today, the VIX was headed downward. But right now, we are seeing, let's take a look at that. Right now, we are seeing extreme volatility in the VIX as well. So now, I don't recommend people necessarily trade the VIX too much, but if you've got a wild bug up your ass to gamble on any given day and you think it's going to be crazy, just buy the VIX for that day and get out that day. Don't hold it long term. But we keep an eye on that because that really tells us how many people are coming in and out of the market on a given day. Now, of course, the next one down is Bitcoin. I follow that very closely. I love me some cryptocurrency. That recently has been very strongly correlated with the NASDAQ. And I was happy to see it decouple there for a few days, although it seems to be tanking right along with anything else. I just feel like most people, if you're like me, you're fully deployed, you've been buying dips all year, this thing's been going sideways for a lot longer than you wanted it to, and I think a lot of people are feeling that. That's probably why we're not going to see another major run in GME or AMC or a lot of those Wall Street Bets meme stocks, because who's left? Are there really retail traders left? The stimmies are gone, everyone's broke, unemployment is extremely high. I think everyone's hurting, and I think we've got a pretty rough economy. So if you're in cryptocurrencies, I think we're going to see sideways to down here for a little bit. I bet you could even see Bitcoin bounce off at 25K, but that's in my darkest fevered dreams. Let's hope it doesn't get there. But you know what? If it does, I'm going to be selling a kidney so I can buy more Bitcoin. I'm just a 100% conviction play on that for me. I wish you were there with me. And then the next thing we look at is the 10-year T-note. Now, that's the government debt. That's the main vehicle for government debt. There's 3-year, there's 5-year, there's shorter, longer term, but the 10-year is the one that the Fed really takes a close look at. And the reason is because the rates on that can start to compete with the Dow Jones Industrial Average. I mean, if you are a fund manager and you just want yield somewhere, you need yield. You're running all the firefighters' pensions, the police pensions, 401ks. You need yield. It is your lifeblood. So if you've got a passive fund running in the Dow Jones or any of these indices, and you're pulling in, easy 2 to 3% without even having to touch it on a normal run, without even having to touch it, why wouldn't you just leave it there? But the minute the 10-year starts to compete in rates with some of these major indices, that puts downward pressure on the indices. So we keep a really close eye on that 10-year. And we've been watching that inch up all year. I think 1.65 was the first major indicator that things might start going haywire in the Dow. And a few months later, they sure did. I think if this starts to approach above 2 to 2.2%, I think there's no upside in the major indices because there's just so much safe yield there, at least for the short term, until the entire bottom drops out and all government debt washes away, which is my most conspiratorial assumption. But so I just wanted to run you guys down why we watch those things on the Mania Watch. They all kind of pull each other around, and it's an interesting ballet that we get to pontificate over. Okay, enough of that. I wanted to get to this funny thing that Jerome Powell said today, this son of a biscuit. I don't know how he keeps getting away with it, but, I know in his heart of hearts he understands this stuff. So when he comes out and plays dumb, this kind of really bothers me. Give this a listen. Tell me what you guys think.
Thank you, Chair Powell, for taking our questions. I'm wondering if you can talk to us about any metrics that the Fed uses to assess how inflation affects different groups of Americans, especially lower income earners. And are you worried that the Fed underestimates or can't effectively measure the impact of inflation on some of the most vulnerable households? Thank you.
So it's more a matter of I think the problem that we're talking about here is really that people are on fixed incomes who are living paycheck to paycheck. They're spending most or all of what they're earning on food, gasoline, rent, heating, things like that, basic necessities. And so inflation right away forces people like that to make very difficult decisions. So that's really the point. I'm not aware of inflation literally falling more on different socioeconomic groups. That's not the point. The point is some people are just really prone to suffer more. I mean, for people who are economically well off, inflation isn't good. It's bad. High inflation is bad, but they're going to be able to continue to eat and keep their homes and drive their cars and things like that. It's more so that's really how I think of it.
Okay, so he basically was right about inflation there. Yes, it does hit those on fixed incomes. So basically 90% of our nation is about to get slapped in the face. And then he goes on to say that some people are just prone to suffer more in this environment. And he goes on to say that, yes, high inflation does hurt the rich, but they're still going to be able to eat. They're still going to be able to heat their home. Well, no kidding. What about the 90% on the fixed income? He almost made it seem like he understood that, but then did this just sick sidestep and started talking about the top 1%, the very top tier income earners in this country. Of course, they're going to feel it a little bit. If they're feeling it, what are the rest of us feeling, Jerome? So he's in this tough spot. I get it. He needs to fight inflation. It's getting out of control. Shadow Stats has it at about, I want to say, let's see here. What did they put it at? At about 15%. So now, as compared to 1981, where it topped at 15%, where they measured CPI differently, and you can see the divergence of the red line, which is how the government measures CPI, versus the divergence of the blue line, which is how CPI used to be measured, we're back at 15%. But remember, in 1981, the government was not nearly this over-leveraged. And a rise in interest rates, the way Volcker did it, he just broke the back of interest. He did it, and the rise in interest rates didn't break the back of the U.S. government because they still could pay service on their debt at those rates. But we aren't in that territory anymore. There is no way. There's no way Powell can raise rates and the government can still service its debt. There's no way Powell can raise rates and stop buying asset purchases and not watch the stock market fall another 20 to 40%. If that happens, that is a completely politically, economically, and socially untenable situation for everyone in power across the globe. So everyone's watching what Powell does here. And even his little bit of missteps, his misspeaks today, he indicated he wasn't going to stop the purchasing. He indicated we've got a free rein all the way till March until they start, quote, raising rates and stopping asset purchases. Even with that, we saw markets go completely topsy-turvy today. So this is not a fundamentals-based market. This is a market based on whatever some rich people say. And everybody's just waiting for like 2 or 3 different rich people to say one thing or another, and the market responds to that. So Jerome Powell, big fail, in my opinion. Speaking of rich guys and their tendency to speak off the cuff, we had an intense sell-off of Tesla stock this week, right after earnings came out. So what happened there? I mean, the earnings were looking good. They were well above what was expected, but oftentimes people buy the rumor and sell the news. I think people maybe felt that Tesla had topped off at that point with that news, and it was time for some profit taking. Tesla's had a rough year, and I think it's not quite finished. I mean, their market cap is far above that of any other car manufacturer, far above Toyota, which makes no sense. Matt Glantz, if he were here, he'd be telling me, yeah, but they have this AI database. They're way ahead of everybody when it comes to self-driving, and they have their own manufacturing verticals and all of this. He's a big Tesla bull, but I just don't see it. I don't think that database is insurmountable. I don't think their verticals have produced vehicles of such quality that they deserve to be 5 times the market cap of Toyota, larger than Ford, larger than any of the others out there. Maybe I'm crazy, but there's an options lookout for Tesla. If you're trading Tesla, right now the options are stacking up to make it look like the downside's coming here in the next few weeks. So there is a slight call over put ratio, but the puts are a little more achievable, I think. I think the biggest call option is the 18% growth strike price in Tesla, whereas the puts are at about 7%, so that's a little easier to hit. I think Tesla's got a little bit ways downward to go yet. Let's take a look real quick here. Oh my god. They are struggling mightily. There's the 1 year. Here's the 5-day, 1 hour breakdown. My god. That is brutal. Yeah, be careful out there, folks. Tesla, I don't know. I could see a little bit more downside on this one. I don't see a lot of fundamentals that are going to keep buoying this one. However, that doesn't stop Elon Musk from being in the news, of course. He mentioned he would eat a Happy Meal on TV if McDonald's accepts Dogecoin. Now, I understand taking a risk, going to Mars, that's risky, but a Happy Meal? Slow down, Elon. You're worth quite a bit more than most of us. You might want to stick to real food. What's interesting is right away, McDonald's got back to him and said, look, we'll take Dogecoin if you take Grimacecoin. Now, Grimacecoin didn't exist, but of course, almost immediately, someone came along and created Grimacecoin. It's a shitcoin on the Binance Smart Chain through PancakeSwap. I hate Binance. I hate Binance Smart Chain projects. I don't like PancakeSwap, and I don't like Grimacecoin, and I don't like Big Macs. Are you there with me yet? Stay away from this. This is a money grab like I've never seen. Well, actually, like I see once a week in this weird world. But come on, Grimacecoin, this may This may rocket up on its meme status for a brief period, but please, folks, don't be aping into this with anything you can't stand to lose. This is a sign of the times, and even as markets fail all around us and people lose their jobs, we get fun little money grabs like Grimacecoin. Okay, I have been rambling enough. What I'd like to do next is get to these picks of the day. Now, I had to derive these myself from a little bit of my own research, so I hope I don't disappoint you. I'm definitely usually relying on some sharper guys than me coming in and giving some picks of the day. But these are the ones that I like, so you're getting the cool guy safety glasses. Ow, they're sharp on my ears. Ow, okay. Now we're ready for the pick of the day.
Drop it like it's hot. Everybody stack 'em, stack 'em to the top.
Okay, welcome to the Market Mania Pick of the Day, brought to you by a cause very near and dear to my own heart, the Fargo Air Museum. February 10th, they're having a donation drive called Giving Hearts Day. They do a lot for our local veterans, and I'm working on my pilot's license, actually. So I'm really invested in the air scene here in Fargo. Hopefully I can get that pilot's license real soon. I had to appeal to the FAA. I had a bit of got arrested for a roach clip back in college, back in 2001, and they saw that, so I had to write a mea culpa letter to the FAA, beg them to let me get my pilot's license, but I think we'll be okay. Moving on, my picks of the day are the FCG. Now, this is an ETF that tracks natural gas futures. We're coming into February here. Natural gas usually does well in these cold winter months. And then when you look at the suicidal track that most of Europe is on right now when it comes to their own energy dependency, and America's for that matter, we used to be fully energy independent. But when you see the energy independence of Europe get eroded through ESG, through environmental concerns, and then when you realize that Germany's main natural gas provider is Russia through the Nord Stream pipeline, you start to realize that the geopolitical, a lot of the comings and goings that are happening over there are going to really start to matter to the price of natural gas. And frankly, if Putin calls our bluff, I think we're bluffing with regards to Ukraine and their national territorial sovereignty. I think if Putin calls our bluff, he could easily just cut off gas to Germany. The price of natural gas would skyrocket. Now, it's a little expensive here at $18.74, but historically, it's still got a little more room to grow, and I think oil and natural gas is going to continue to skyrocket. I see war and problems on the horizon, and even if those don't happen, you've still got a lot of interested people who want the price of this to continue to rise. So, FCG. I also took a look at CFVI today. Now, this is a SPAC, and they are the ones who are going to buy the video provider Rumble. Now, Rumble's trying to be a competitor to YouTube. They've got a major, major uphill battle if that's what they want to do. But YouTube continues to cancel a lot of very popular content creators. Dan Bongino just got cut off, and I know he's a huge name, and I don't know, YouTube must feel their primacy is secure. They wouldn't be booting these people, but they find a natural home over at Rumble. CFVI is the SPAC that's going to take them public. So if they have some success bringing over big names, I find that this would be a good spot because it's pretty cheap right now. So maybe you can hold that for a year and a half if you feel like doing that and see if that pays off. My final pick for you today, I got to give lots of respect to my buddy Michael Lockey, who helps me out with our own crypto consulting fund, Crypto IQ. He's a sharp guy, pro poker player, and I call him my cryptomancer because he knows so much about the DeFi space. He got a super alpha tip that TAZOS might be getting involved in the Marvel universe, doing NFTs for Marvel, which would be quite a coup for TAZOS. They've also been hired. I think they're doing some gaming NFTs. They're getting involved with a lot of big names to handle large property NFT. And TAZOS is cheap right now. Everything's cheap right now. So I'd grab it. I could see this going to $10 on some really exciting news over maybe this time next year. So those are my picks of the day. I'd like to join you all thank you all for joining me, rather. I know this isn't always what you want. You want Matt Glantz, you want Mycon, you want Brett Ritchie, but they're busy guys. They can't always join us. I really appreciate the time I do get with them. Mostly, I just want to get the word out that these markets are crazy, but you don't feel alone. You don't have to feel alone, rather. There's always someone else out there ready to commiserate on the state of the world with you. So if you keep coming around, we'd be happy to be that for you. Join us next Tuesday for our next episode. We should have everybody back and ready to roll. But with that, I'm going to leave you, and good luck out there, guys. We will see you Tuesday if there is a next Tuesday. But for now, it's lights out.
I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have. I never sleep. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. Time to right the wrong. So your hands in the air if you like the song. If you're going over there, take it twice as long. Last time ain't talking about Tylenol. Oh, I bet you'd like to know. You can come around the way if you're trying to go. If you want to switch lanes for a pot of gold or a domino, out of control. The usual. Get mad cause I'm looking at your girl. Switch it up. I do it so much louder than everything you've heard. Everybody heard, got the word that the world wasn't turning. Act like you're in a jury of how we're turning, where how we're turning. Can't lie like it's Mississippi burning. Don't act like you're in a daze. I imagine should've looked the other way. Couldn't clear space on my mind, was afraid of the time. Strobe light like in the moonlight. I'm in the mood right now, how about